Hello, culinary art students. Good morning, good afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. Let's jump on in. We are coming to the close of week 3, and I'm excited to say that we're in the process of making the transition from course orientation and overview into kitchen safety and operations very quickly here. So I'm excited to get into some industry related content and have that support our transition into our first lab over the next week, just over the next week. So let's jump on into lecture today. Thanks again for your cooperation and participation in Edpuzzle. I appreciate the thoughtful answers and engaged minds and that evidence of that additional discipline and learning. Thank you for that. I genuinely have appreciated reading your responses and connecting with you during the class sessions. And yet I am looking forward to uh, backing down on the amount of Edpuzzles that we complete every week. I do believe the tool is the right tool for us to increase engagement, but at the same time, I know it'll be refreshing for all of us to not have me lecture as much and have you be doing more hands-on in the class. So looking forward to that here just over a week from now. So orientation quiz check-in, wanted to mention, I think we're doing really well on the completion rate of the orientation quiz. Just a reminder that if you want me to reset your orientation quiz, even just today, I had a student request that to be done. You are invited to get a higher score. Just a reminder, there's no need to re-register for Ruby or the Remind app or to resubmit a video in the Flipgrid or recomplete the orientation survey. You don't need to recomplete any of those. Just get the answers correct based on what you learned. And I'm looking forward to getting those regraded and resubmitted and turned around to you as soon as possible. Edpuzzle completion rate, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to do a little get to know us activity that we will do either today or tomorrow, and then go over some classroom learning systems as well, getting a little bit more into the operational side of Google Classroom, and just encouraging you to lean into the completion of the orientation quiz, any outstanding Edpuzzles that you might have, and then as well begin to study the kitchen safety and operations material. That'll be our first sort of knowledge-based content for the course. So let's jump on in here. I want to just give you a quick reminder. Please stay with us in the course content. Don't go ahead and do assessments that you haven't been taught the material about yet. I find that if students lean ahead, which I appreciate the enthusiasm to get into the course content in Google Classroom because the whole semester is mapped out for you already. But at the same time, let's make sure we're receiving the instruction, developing the knowledge and understanding, and then from there, completing the assessments. That will increase your probability of first learning more, but second, being able to evidence that and receive higher scores in your assessments. So just a reminder, stay with me in the course content, and you'll be more successful, I believe. Another reminder, after completing your videos in Edpuzzle, whether you do them as a class or individually, at the end of the Edpuzzle video, it acknowledges that you have completed the video. Make sure you get all the way to that acknowledgement. Also, be sure to re-complete any questions that you want to submit because that opportunity is open to you. Just simply listen to that segment of video and you'll have an opportunity to resubmit those. So if you get anything wrong, I'd encourage you to go back and resubmit those. And then the last thing I want to remind you, many of you have in either the orientation quiz or in the Edpuzzles have forgotten to complete sort of the last benchmark of getting that submitted to me, and that's clicking on that mark as done button in Google Classroom. So in order for me to grade the assignments, I need to know that they're submitted to me. So once you mark the assignment as done, or sometimes in Google Classroom it says turn in, when you do that, that then informs me that I can grade it. If you don't do that, it's not a gradable assignment yet. And so I want you just to take a moment. We're going to pause, and I want you to go and look at your Edpuzzles. ones that we've completed in their entirety, obviously not the current one that we're in, and just ensure that you clicked mark as done in Google Classroom, and that will ensure a more rapid grading process. Okay, thanks again for your cooperation with that, and thanks for working through that reminder. Let us go ahead and do this warm up together. So, what I'd like you to do, I'm going to put a 10-minute timer on the screen. And we want to share a little bit more in detail our interests and backgrounds around food. I think, we've been with our team a little bit, yet there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for conversation. And so I want to take 10 minutes and do a little sort of conversant activity. So what I want you to do is share your backgrounds related to cooking, baking, and food. All right. So maybe that entails what you watch, what you enjoy watching on podcasts, YouTube, on the Food Network, or whatever. I know Gordon Ramsay is a favorite over the last few years. As I've done this activity, I've learned that. What your favorite restaurants or restaurant are, and then what your favorite home prepared meal is. And some of this might have come up in our Pacific Island, Stranded on the Island activity at the beginning of the semester, but I want to sort of bundle this, and I want to hear a little bit more from you. And I also want to present an opportunity for you to share and get to know each other a little bit more. Talk casually, get better acquainted, but just talk about what you have in common related to food and cooking. You're going to designate a representative like we did last time that can introduce your team and summarize and do a share out. I will give you a pen, a whiteboard marker, and you can take notes on your desktop. So whoever's going to share out for the team, go ahead and just take those notes right on the desktop, and then we'll wipe them off at the end of the class period. And I'm going to go ahead and start the timer, and you've got 10 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and do a brief share out, and then we'll continue with the ed puzzle. So enjoy getting better acquainted. I think the social fabric of our classroom is important, and that's where we're taking time to take a risk, share a little bit, and maybe connect a little bit more than we are currently. Okay, enjoy the activity. Here we go. Okay, welcome back from the activity. Thanks so much for your investment and your sharing. I really enjoyed doing that with you. What I want to do now is jump into some classroom procedures and sort of policies. I'm going to begin with just talking a little bit more about Google Classroom. Again, I haven't really talked holistically about the use of Google Classroom yet. We've just talked about how to access your grades. You should be pretty fluent with Google Classroom now. I'm going to give you a quick reminder. This is a video that goes out to families on occasion from the district. And I want to just go ahead and encourage you first to go ahead and install Google Classroom on your smartphone if you have space on it. That enables you to check your grade or even complete assignments and submit them conveniently on another device. That's a great way to leverage the use of our devices properly. And then here, let's go ahead and jump on in a little bit more in detail about Google Classroom with this video from the district office.
A CRM shouldn't weigh your budget down. It should lift your team's.
In this video, we are going to go over how to use and access Google Classroom from home. So we'll show how to open it up and access any assignments or materials and see announcements. So first, you'll need to make sure that you are logged in to the correct account in Chrome. So that's in the top right corner. Make sure you're logged in, and then you can access the Google Classroom button right there. Or you can type in classroom.google.com in the address bar at the top. So once you're logged in, you will see your classes that you can access here on Google Classroom. Click on one and it will take you to the stream. This is where the announcements are posted, and to access any stream.
Now, just a quick reminder, right? I turned the stream announcements off, and the only thing that's located in the stream is what? Experiential Learning Credit.
This is where the announcements are posted, and to access any assignments or materials, you'll need to click on classwork at the top. You can click View Your Work. That's that little button there on the left, and that will show you everything that has been assigned to you in your class. So that's an option. You can go back to classwork and see everything organized by topic. This is a really nice feature. Over on the left side, you can go by topic and it will just show you everything that's in that topic. So it's a nice way to narrow down what you're seeing. So we're going to open up an assignment. If you click on it, there's this View Assignment button, and it will show you there are your instructions over there, and then all of your work is on the right side. So if your teacher has attached something for you, that's where it will be. And you can click on it and open it up. And if it is something that your teacher has made a copy for you, this is where it will be, and you can follow the directions and type into that. There's a turn in button in the top right, so when you're done, you can click turn in there. Or you can go back to Google Classroom, and there's always...
This is just a good reminder, right? That turn in button is critical. Even on regular assignments, if you don't click the turn in button, I won't know to grade it. And that's an imperative. I find often students are wondering why their assignments aren't getting graded, and it's because they're not clicking that turn in button. So again, the mark is done when you do an Edpuzzle is important, and then the turn in button is critical when you're turning in a regular assignment to me.
Always a turn in button here. So sometimes that turn in button might not be in the document. You can always go back to Google Classroom and turn it in there. There's also private comments. If you have a question about your assignment, you can send a comment to your teacher there.
I also want to encourage you, private comments is tough. I don't get a notification for private comments in my email. And so if I don't see it just right in Google Classroom, I will miss your comments to me. Unfortunately, Google Classroom does not have a place that it sort of rings a bell and gives me a notification that there's a private comment. And so I would encourage you, if you have anything that you want to connect with me about, I'd use the Remind app or go ahead and email me. Those would be the best two mediums to use. The private comments section in Google Classroom, you can respond to my assessments when I give you feedback in Google Classroom, and I'll see those in my email. But the private comments section isn't really connected very well to sort of the outside world of Google Classroom. So I would urge you not to use the private comments section.
So remember, your work is always in your assignment in the right side. So there's another type of assignment that you might have where your teacher might ask you to attach something or upload maybe a picture. That is with this Add or Create button. So you can always add or create. You can upload a file or from your Google Drive, or you can share a link. So if you click to upload a file, it will bring up this window. You can also upload from your drive from here, and it will bring up your downloads from your computer. It will look like this. Or if you are on your Chromebook, it will bring up the blue downloads window. So you can insert a file directly from your computer. So all you would need to do is put that file or picture on your computer, and you can upload it from there. So that Add or Create button is really nice, and you can add any file to an assignment from that button. So here we've added an image and we've added a document. And you can also add private comments to any assignment. So you can leave that assignment and come back later, and you'll see those pieces are still attached to that assignment, but you do have to click that turn in button for your teacher to be able to see those documents.
The other thing I want to make mention, if you live out like in Yakult or somewhere further out where you have Wi-Fi challenges, the one thing I'd make mention of is Google Classroom is automatically saving on a regular basis. But if your Wi-Fi is not constant, you have a chance of risking losing that content. So it's just something, I've seen that happen with students in the past on occasion. It's just something to keep in mind if you don't have consistent Wi-Fi. Make sure you're saving your work and keeping it saved maybe locally, and then uploading it so you have a secondary copy of it.
So you can click that turn in button. It will bring up the attachments that you've added, And once you've clicked turn in, then your teacher will be able to see what you have added to your assignment. And once you've clicked turn
Cassandra also showed you this screen. There's an unsubmit button. After you submit an assignment to me, there'll be an unsubmit. So if you ever want to go back and readdress an assignment and get a better score, you always have the option of unsubmitting it, taking control of it again, and doing the necessary engagement and learning, and then resubmitting that to me.
Turn in, then your teacher will be able to see what you have added to your assignment. And that is how you can attach something to an assignment, like a picture or a document. So that is your classwork, where you can go to access materials and assignments. You can open a document that a teacher has attached, or you can attach your own work. You can add private comments to ask questions. You can answer questions if a teacher has posted those as well. So log in to your student account to access Google Classroom today.
Hey, you have an hour.
So thanks for going through that content with me again, just tips and tricks on how you can be more successful. And again, as we talk about Google Classroom, one reminder is that this is hopefully going to serve you not only in my class, but it's going to serve you in all of your classes that interrelate with Google Classroom. So my goal is to help you as a sort of broader learner be successful. Modes of instruction and learning. Let's talk about this for a couple minutes. Lecture and demo. Typically in my classes, the front week I upload I begin an introduction with that theory and transition to practice. So typically on Mondays, I do lecture in all of my classes. And then on Tuesdays, I do demonstrations. In the culinary arts intro class, I typically will allow time for the demonstration and tasting. And then as well, we'll be adding an Edpuzzle option where you can see the demonstration and walk through it and answer some questions. And then as well, there'll be time to complete your weekly Ruby assignments. That typically all happens either the latter part of your Monday class and then during your Tuesday class during culinary. In baking and pastry, typically I'm a little bit less on the demo side. So I'll lecture on Mondays and we'll have time to work on Ruby if there's a Ruby assignment for that particular week. And then you will jump right on into mise en place on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday execute the lab. Whereas in the culinary class, intro to culinary class, we'll lecture on Monday, and then Tuesday, demo, reinforcing with Ruby, and then Wednesday is mise en place, and Thursday is our actual lab day. And then both classes tie the week up and sort of bundle our learning with the final assessment of submitting your slats on Friday. So you'll submit your final assignment for Ruby and your final slat from the lab. You'll submit both of those slats on Fridays and sort of tie it together with that sort of collaborative learning opportunity as a team. The other thing to remember, and you'll learn about this next week, you'll also have a Chef of the Week assignment that will be rotating. Every student on your team will complete this 3 times over the duration of the semester. And so that will be due on Fridays as well. And just a reminder, right, 2:30 p.m. on Fridays, everything for that particular week is due, all right? So again, lecture and demo is sort of that theoretical framework, and transition to application where you can see me show you the competency or components of the competency in the baking and pastry class, and then I'll be freeing you up with what's called independent learning time. And independent learning time is really that time that you can work on Ruby, work on Edpuzzle, work on anything that you feel like is pertinent to your learning in the class that's assigned for that particular week. And again, I want to remind you that Friday deadline is an imperative, and also staying caught up in the class is the best way for you to have a successful learning experience. We already reviewed that in the Edpuzzle yesterday. Let's talk about the weekly lab learning cycle. This fluctuates, and I introed it on the last slide, but it fluctuates a little bit between culinary, intro to culinary, and intro to baking and pastry. But on Monday and Tuesday, we're dealing with that competency instruction through lecture and demonstration, and you doing planning for that competency. On Wednesday, we move into independent learning where you execute mise en place. And mise en place is where you're getting everything in its place. You're measuring your ingredients, gathering your utensils, and being ready to cook. Thursday, the competency cooking and baking process happens, and your presentation happens, as well as don't forget you're evidencing your learning by gathering pictures for your slat on both Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, you're going to completely close up the process and bundle it in your slat for the lab. And you're going to bring together your final assessment for your lab, as well as submitting your Ruby assignment for the week and any ed puzzles that we have to complete. Okay. So this is the learning cycle both for the Intro to Baking and Pastry and Intro to Culinary Arts class. Very similar. The only differentiation, right, is that we have that extra mise en place day on Tuesdays in baking and pastry. But with that exception, everything else is roughly the same. This is our routine week in and week out for the remainder of the semester once we start labs in about a week and a half. Another way to look at it, you can see a little bit more rationale here. I'm not going to read this, but sort of front loads in a different type of graphical layout. This is more cyclical in nature. This one's more linear. However it works better for you, this walks you through exactly why we're doing what we're doing and when we're doing it, okay? So you can see the days of the week on the left, and then what we're doing in the center, and then what's the underpinning, why we are doing it. So we're developing understanding. We're developing engagement of our senses as part of the learning process. We're demonstrating scaffolding of basic competencies related to certain topics. And so we move through the process and then we close it with concluding with team and self-assessment. So we're always, I'm assessing you, but you're also assessing each other and you're assessing yourselves as part of our learning process. So this is another way to look at our overall learning intentions in the class. Okay, I wanted also to draw your attention to Bloom's taxonomy. Maybe some of you have heard of Bloom's taxonomy, but it's sort of a structured way of looking at learning from the range of being a novice, being specialized, and approaching mastery. And you can see here at the bottom, it's really dealing with remembering, understanding, application, and analysis. We do that in the Intro to Culinary Arts course here and the Intro to Baking and Pastry Arts course. So we really deal with remembering content, looking at measuring, remembering there's 8 ounces in a cup, 16 ounces in a pound, 2 tablespoons in an ounce, 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. We remember things that help us be more successful in our learning process. We don't do a lot of creation at the intro level. And so in the advanced class, advanced culinary entrepreneurship and service class, is where we deal with analysis, evaluation, and then creation. They'll be designing menus, designing recipes, and executing and doing less focus, having less focus on assessment and more focused on application. And so you can see here from the bottom, recalling facts, explaining ideas or concepts, using information in new situations, and drawing connections among ideas. These are all things that I've spoken about previously. That happens in the intro courses. Justifying a stand or decision or why you're doing what you're doing, synthesizing concepts and connecting them together, and then producing new and original work is what happens in the advanced class. Okay, so I just wanted to bring in, again, we've been talking over the last few days about how to learn in my class, and it's important for you to understand how I teach and how you learn. That's going to ensure the greatest probability of success. You'll see learning targets posted on the whiteboards above your cooking stoves. And so whiteboards are up there, and every week we'll be writing in the learning targets. That just helps us stay oriented towards what we're doing in class, so that if we get off task, I can say, hey, let's refocus. What are we doing today? What are we doing this week? And let's reconnect with what that learning target is. If you do get lost in the class, one of the things that I really want to encourage you to do is to look at the critical thinking, problem solving, and learning target process that I have up on the cupboard on every station. The Culinary Arts Program Lab Critical Thinking Process talks about that 3 before T. I mentioned this a couple ed puzzles ago. It's important to have a conversation with your team, right? To collaborate. If you get lost, if you're confused about something, if you're not sure how to measure or how to cut, talk about it amongst yourselves. Ask yourselves these 3 questions that are listed before you approach me. Use your team as a support structure. The more you can weave together your social relationships and also your learning relationships as part of a team, the more you're all going to be successful. And honestly, the easier then is the learning process as an outcome. So using the critical thinking process is a way that if you get stumped, look up and leverage this as a next step. And then also look at that learning target and refocus the team on what the desired outcome is. Okay. If you have any questions on that, just please feel free to let me know. We're going to jump into now some free time on the latter part of this week for you to study kitchen safety and operations material in Google Classroom. Google Classroom is set up. Typically, you'll find quizzes, okay? You'll find Edpuzzles listed, and then you'll find the materials content. And this is what supports my lectures. And so feel free to peruse the material. In particular, the kitchen safety and operations material is going to support your learning for this first assessment that we have. So we're going to deal with kitchen safety and operations, and then we're going to move into food safety sanitation. At food safety sanitation, in that next unit, there's going to be a pre-test. You can do that anytime. You can do that now. That's testing your current knowledge here and now. The post-test, I want you to wait on that completion until after the lesson has been taught, so we can develop some knowledge and understanding to ensure that you can move the needle from the pre-test to the post-test and evidence learning. Okay, but it is time. It's a good time in the next day or so. Spend some time in the materials area. I will give you time during class to peruse this. It's always good to look through the materials, look through the videos and the resources that are there. Those are going to support your success in taking the assessments. The last thing is a reminder again, right? Grade distribution is going to be posted here at the latter part of this week. Reminder, when you pull up your grade, check your grade in Google Classroom under the classwork tab, hit view your work, select the drop down menu right here where it says returned. Okay, that's a little tip, because what that's going to do is just give you the assignments that have been due and that I've graded. Okay, and so that's going to help you be more successful. A reminder, go for those assignments that you've received a 0. Okay, and target those assignments that have the greatest point value associated with them in the denominator. That'll ensure you move the needle the fastest, not only as it relates to learning, but also related to your actual grade in the class. Okay. So you're going to start seeing no more examples of your grade distribution. Starting tomorrow, you're going to start seeing that report happen on a weekly basis. And again, that's a way for us to work together, motivate us to collaborate and be accountable for how we're doing in the class, and ensure that we're learning and evidencing that learning and working together to ensure that obviously we're looking for good learning in the class, but we're looking also for that goal of being able to have that pizza party at the end. Sorry for the dog barking. Okay, so we're wrapping up the Edpuzzle now. Thanks so much for your participation, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy cooking.